ท่านผู้ชมครับช่วง Equipment สัปดาห์นี้นะครับเรามาที่สนามกอล์ฟ Lakeview ที่ชะอำนะครับแล้วก็มีแขกรับเชิญ2คนซึ่ง2ท่านนี้เนี่ยต้องทำงานด้วยกันอยู่แล้วสัปดาห์นี้ทำมาแล้ว1อาทิตย์เต็มอีก1อาทิตย์เต็มจะต้องฝึกกันต่อเนื่องนะครับน้องเอิร์ธในฐานะของนักกีฬานะครับเด็กของโครงการไทยเว็บไทยทาเลนต์แล้วก็มาฝึกแล้วในขณะที่เชนก็สวัสดีครับสวัสดีครับเชนเป็นผู้ฝึกสอนซึ่งวันนี้เนี่ยเราจะมาทดสอบว่าเวดจ์ของน้องเอิร์ธที่อยู่ในกระเป๋าอยู่แล้ว
ครับผม
เอิร์ธใช้ได้อย่างมีประสิทธิภาพดีอยู่แล้วหรือเปล่ามีอะไรที่ต้องจะปรับบ้างถูกไหมครับไม่ว่าจะปรับที่สโตรกหรือจะปรับที่อุปกรณ์แต่แน่นอนในช่วงของ Equipment เราคงจะดูว่าอุปกรณ์มันเหมาะสมหรือเปล่าถ้าจะปรับเปลี่ยนเราก็จะได้มีตัวทดลองให้น้องเอิร์ธทดลองดูด้วย
ได้ครับ
Okay so I'm just gone through of why we're here what we're about to do so can you tell us a little bit about the distance and the lie in which we're testing his
Okay, on this shot, we're just playing a chip shot. The first shot we're going to be using is a 60-degree wedge. It's a little bit into the grain, which means the grass is growing towards the direction that our club is going to be moving into. This is typically where you see people kind of chunk a shot. Okay. The club grabs the grass first, and then because it's into the grain, the club cannot travel through the grass.
Okay. สิ่งหนึ่งที่จะช่วยให้เวดจ์ของน้องเอิร์ธผ่านตัวหญ้าได้ดีก็คือบริเวณด้านล่างที่เรียกว่า bounce ซึ่งในไม้เวดจ์60 องศาของเอิร์ธทุกวันนี้เนี่ยมี bounce อยู่ 7 องศาเริ่มต้นเราจะลองตัวนี้ก่อนแล้วอีกสักครู่จะมีโอกาสได้ลองเวดจ์อีกตัวหนึ่งซึ่งเป็น 60 องศาเหมือนกันแต่ว่า bounce จะลดลงมาเป็น low bounce เหลือเพียงแค่ 4 องศาครับ
What we're going to be looking for is his ability to let the club slide underneath the golf ball without really taking a divot. We just want it to slide on the grass.
Okay.
If it starts to dig too much, we're going to probably notice that he has problems with his distance control on this shot. So we're going to let him use this current 60-degree wedge first. We'll hit 2 or 3 shots to this hole, a little bit of into the grain, and then releasing downhill. And as you can see, he was able to get the club to slide through the grass, and it really didn't make a divot. It didn't tear the grass up.
Okay. You pass.
Again, he had a nice shot there inside of 3 feet, so he's going to get that up and down.
That looks like the same shot.
Good. So again, this is really what I want to see. I want to see the ability to have some real consistency between shots. So now I'm going to give him a club that's slightly different, has less bounce. And we're going to kind of see how that interacts with the turf. Does he get a better result, or do we start to see that the club now starts to grab the grass and he has a little bit of trouble controlling the consistency and the distance?
As far as like the theoretical value goes, this may grab more.
This could grab more. Okay, good. Another good chip shot. And again, I didn't see a tearing of the grass. Okay, so he seems to be able to use a lower bounce club and still be able to get it to slide nicely on the turf.
Call that a tear or not?
Yeah, now see how that one kind of caught the grass and pulled the grass up. You see it almost pulled that grass out, and then that ball didn't kind of have the same sound as the other 3.
Yeah, had a
so
thud sound.
Yeah, it kind of caught it funny, you know, because the grass caught. So we want to be able to reduce the amount of bounce if we're playing on very tight, hard fairways. So if the grass is very, very short, we want to be able to play with less bounce. It allows the leading edge to slide under the ball. However, Earth's playing most of his golf here in Asia. And what we find in Asia is we have more grainy grass, and it's a little lusher and thicker because of the high humidity and the amount of rain that we get. So it's not like we're playing in a desert course where they can keep it really hard and firm and really short grass. So in a situation like this, right now, if I were to look at the results, I have a more consistent pattern with this current wedge. So I would not recommend that he go to a lower bounce club than what he currently has.
Okay, cool. So this is like a first test.
So this is the first test. How did it feel to you, one club versus the other club, sliding through the grass?
I think this one is better. Slide the grass better.
So he can
Okay.
kind of feel it as well. And again, this has a little bit more bounce, and this would be typical of what we would want to see probably from a majority of players that are going to be playing in this kind of environment where the grass is a little bit thick and sticky,
Okay.
and we need to slide it through.
Okay, so we have a couple more situations from the
Yeah,
track
obviously
now.
this is just one chip shot, so we want to go a little bit further from the green, and we're going to hit the ball a little bit higher, what I like to refer to as a toss shot. The ball is going to have a medium trajectory, land on the green, still release out a little bit, and he won't have as much forward shaft lean. So again, we want to have that feeling that he can slide the club on the grass, the leading edge slides underneath the ball, and the ball kind of pops up in the air, and then stops more quickly on the green.
Okay, cool. Let's go do that. เปลี่ยนสถานการณ์มาเป็น 20 หลาจากธงนะครับลายขึ้นเนินเล็กน้อย เพราะฉะนั้นในการเล่นใช้ 60 องศาใช่ไหมครับ
ใช่ครับ
60 องศาขึ้นเนินลักษณะนี้เราน่าจะเห็นสปินมีบทบาท แต่ว่าบททดลองที่เมื่อกี้โค้ชเขากำหนดตำแหน่งนี้มาก็คือเพราะว่ามันเป็นสถานการณ์ที่เล่นแล้วยังย้อนหญ้าอยู่นะเล็กน้อย แต่ทั้งนั้นทั้งนี้หญ้าตรงเนี้ยสั้นมากเตียนมาก เพราะฉะนั้นอยากจะเห็นคุณภาพของช็อตในการสอดเหล็ก
ครับ
ใต้ลูกด้วยโอเคเริ่มเลยครับไม้ตัวเองก่อนเลย3 ลูกสวยครับ Okay, so he didn't quite catch it too clean, but seems like he got away with it.
He got away with it. You got a decent result, but we could kind of hear that the sound was a little off, and he had a little bit of trouble maybe trying to get the leading edge underneath the ball. So then he
Okay.
kind of tried to force that last one. So let's see if we can reduce the bounce a little bit. That just makes it a little bit easier for him on a tight lie for that club to slide right underneath the ball, and he doesn't feel like he has to work so hard on the shot.
Okay, ครับรู้สึกไง
รู้สึกตัวนี้สอดลูกง่ายกว่าครับ เพราะตัวเก่าเหมือนเบลส์มันเยอะมันจะกระดอนง่ายกว่าครับ
He likes a low bounce more.
Yeah, on a tight lie like this, obviously we wanted that leading edge to get underneath the ball, and you have a little bit more bounce that raises that leading edge a little bit higher up.
Makes it tougher.
Yeah, we have the shaft a little bit more vertical on this shot, where on the chip shot, when you lean the shaft forward, you're kind of taking a little bit of the bounce away. So sometimes in those chip shots where you had a thicker lie, where the ball was a little higher, you might want a little bit more bounce, but on a tight lie, having a little bit less bounce might be effective. We also saw a little bit of increased spin, I thought, off of that club when he hit in. Part of that could be just that his club has been used for 6 or 9 months, practices a lot, and so the grooves just aren't as sharp as they would be on a new club. So maybe time for him to be looking to replace this wedge. He may decide he wants to replace it with a wedge that has a little less bounce.
I see. Let's try one more situation from a further out. I would like to see him going through this same test, but further out.
Yeah, we've done a little bit of our short game shots around the green, but we're still using some of our wedges for some of our approach, 3/4 approaches. So let's go take a look at those distances.
Okay. So Shane, at this, what, 110 yards? What do you expect to see here? Well, 110 past the flag, isn't it?
Yeah, we've got just under 110 to the flag. Again, we're kind of looking at more of like a 3/4 shot instead of a full shot for them. We're giving them two different 50-degree wedges. Again, one with a little bit more bounce, one with less bounce. Oftentimes, I don't see as much difference, or the feeling from the player is not so much on the full shot as what we maybe saw in the short game shot, but it is an area that you want to check. You don't want to just test it around the green and then get out in the golf course and hit some really bad shots because you don't feel like the club's going through the turf very well. So
What do you expect to see between the two clubs?
Really, the only thing I expect to see the biggest difference I expect to see again is this is a brand new wedge, so the groove's going to be nice and sharp. He practices and plays a lot, so that wedge, maybe being between 6 months and a year old, is probably getting at the point where it's about time for it to be replaced. So we might see when the ball hits the green that there's just a little less spin on it. If it's a big loss of spin, he might have some consistency problems because he's not able to impart the same amount of spin every shot. And so one ball may travel a little further and then one might travel a little bit shorter. And having new grooves might make it a little bit more consistent. So this is one area when we have junior players or professional players that are practicing and playing a lot, they can wear out the grooves much faster than the average golfer who's only playing on the weekends.
โอเคเดี๋ยวลองตีให้ดูเลยครับ Okay, so I think on camera, since we have a camera down by the green, we could see the action
Correct.
of the ball landing on the green much more clearly than what we see from 110 yards away. But even from here, we can spot.
Yeah,
The
even from
differences.
here, you can see that when the ball's landing, it kind of takes one bounce and then it settles down pretty quick. We're not seeing it land on the green and then continue to roll out. So obviously he's hitting a good shot. He's producing some nice spin on the ball. How did the club feel as it went through the grass? Did you feel a big difference between the two models?
No,
or-
I think more not much difference.
Okay.
Yeah, so a lot of times on a full swing like this, the club head speed's very high. They're definitely going to be making a divot, and a small amount of change in the bounce isn't going to be as noticeable as it might be on a little bit one of
And
those short
maybe
game
his
shots.
club is not as worn out as we suspect it might be.
Yeah, well,
Right,
obviously when
still
we can take a look at the shots when they hit the green, when the camera gives a close up, and we'll have a little bit better picture as to how much spin was being generated on each shot.
Typically on the tour, pro players change their wedge. How often before they change to a new wedge?
I know at one point when Vijay Singh was with Cleveland that he changed it every week. That is unusual, but again, he changed it every week because he wanted to have brand new grooves as he started the tournament week. Obviously, the players that are getting sponsored and getting the clubs for free, they can change. But I would say for a tour player, I would probably be looking to change about every 3 months.
Okay.
For some of the high school players or elite national team players, I'm starting to look in kind of the 6 to 9 month range. And if you're just a weekend golfer and you're not spending very much time on the practice tee, you probably won't have to check for about 2 years.
I see. Okay, that's a good number to have in mind. Thank you, Shane. ขอบคุณนะครับ
ขอบคุณครับ Thank you.
ละครับก็ลองไปแอพพลายดูนะครับว่าไอ้หลักการที่ว่า bounce มันมากกว่า bounce มันน้อยกว่ากับลักษณะการเล่นของเราเนี่ยกับสถานการณ์ต่างๆเนี่ยเราสัมผัสได้ถึงความแตกต่างไหมแล้วเมื่อไหร่ถึงเวลาที่แล้วที่เราจะเปลี่ยน wedge ในที่สุดถ้าเราเล่นเยอะไอ้ความเก่าของ wedge เองเนี่ยก็จะมีบทบาทเหมือนกันในเรื่องของคุณภาพช็อตที่ออกมา